hoped that we would stay here forever. But we were told about an hour ago that as of November 30th, this theater is closing. So next week will be our last performance in this theater.
It's funny because almost everyone's heard of Rocky Horror, so they all have these preconceptions like, oh my God, you know, a bunch of freaks go to that. And
my friend was sleeping over that night and we're watching it, and like when it gets to the point where Frankenfurter throws his cape off, he's like, oh, we're taking it back right now. I ain't into this homo shit.
Now keep in mind, here I am, 44 years old. I was 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And they're telling me I'm going to be running around in my underwear in front of a bunch of college kids.
Expect to see Tim Curry in women's underwear, and it doesn't faze you.
A lot of people just felt the need to take their clothes off for that, so.
Touch me. I wanna be dirty. Throw me, chill me, fulfill me. Reach your world for night.
Typically, your average cast member was an outcast, you know, throughout their life. You know, they never really fit in until they joined in with the Rocky cast. And I try not to take that experience away from them. You know, it's like I don't want them to feel like the outcast anymore when they come to our cast. I want them to feel like we have a home.
Yeah, I think a big draw of Rocky Horror is that you're free to be who you want to be. I mean, everyone is attractive at Rocky Horror. You can run around in your underwear and be as crazy as you want to be, and no one's going to think ill of you for it.
It personally has changed me a lot. I mean, you know, 2 years ago I couldn't walk into a CD store and say, can I have, do you have the Sex Pistols? Now I run around in my underwear in front of 100 people every Saturday.
Probably 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, that I would have been running around the stage in, you know, in a pair of white boxer shorts. I would have looked at you, you know, told you what you can go, you know, do it yourself. But I used to be, you know, really self-conscious, and I just wouldn't have seen it coming. You know, now I'm running around in my underwear, and I don't care.
It's let me become more, I don't know, open. Recently I just had a show where I performed a monologue that I wrote myself, and I wasn't very much afraid to be in front of the audience at all. I would probably relate that to Rocky because I run around in my underwear, so I really have nothing to be afraid of when I'm dressed up, you know.
I got over my self-consciousness pretty quickly during that first show, and the cast helped a lot. Nobody made fun of me and all that.
So I think it's sort of a call for everyone to like take a look at their own lives and see if they like who they are, if they're comfortable in their own skin.
The movie itself, it speaks of a degree of freedom to me, and be who you want to be, don't dream it, be it. It's become such a cliche in the Rocky community.
Don't dream it. Be it. Don't dream it. Be it. Don't dream it.
What the future's going to bring for Rocky Horror in general that's kind of tough.
It seems like it's dying out a little bit. There's less and less cast, less and less theaters.
Audiences actually are on a downcline.
Yeah, I don't think Rocky Horror is necessarily declining. I think it's changing. I think it still will be around in another 25 years.
It's not the same experience it used to be. I'd like it to be the same thing. You know, everybody, if you ask anybody that's been around more than 10 years, they would love it to go back to the time of the 80s when they had the sellout crowds and stuff, but the 90s and the whole grunge thing and the teen angst, and now the Gen Xers and stuff. It's the whole label. It's just kind of killed the experience a little bit too.
We hoped that we would stay here forever, but we were told about an hour ago that as of November 30th, this theater is closing. So next week will be our last performance in this theater.
I don't know. I have confidence that we'll find another theater soon. It was like watching a porn.
This cast just survived a couple homeless spells, so
there's no reason why we can't survive this one, because this is the strongest cast we've ever had.
We hope to stick around for a long time, and if the most of us, if the true-hearted stay along, we can probably go to the 50th anniversary.
It's always going to be there, I think, and there's always going to be some kind of audience, no matter how small or how big it is. There's going to be some audience for it.
We want to stick together, and we're hoping that we can take it somewhere else. But we have several options to varying degrees, but we're hoping we'll be performing again in the next month or two.
You know, how do you define weird and exciting when you're at Rocky Horror? I wasn't sure if there was a live cast or not, but I've got to see it at the theater. I didn't want to go alone, so I dragged my son Matt, who at the time was 13. But I had a great time. I loved the show. And sometimes I've thought it's kind of like when I was little playing cowboys and Indians. I knew I wasn't a cowboy. I knew I wasn't an Indian, but boy, oh boy, for an afternoon, I could be there. And so now I found a place where I can do that as an adult. I came from, my father loved to dress in costumes. And he would assume personas. Oh, in the mid-'60s, a song called Snoopy versus the Red Baron came out, and because my dad was a real aviator fan and pilot, he became the Red Baron. And I picked up on that Halloween isn't just once a year, and that you don't have to wait for a special occasion to have fun with your life. I find a lot of glamour in it, as silly as it may be.
I'm just a sweet, transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
I think the one who stuck with me most in my mind was Ace, running around the audience at the beginning of the show, slinging insults, wisecracks. He started calling me Mom, I think, the first time I was there, because I was there with a kid. My son started coming with me, and he joined the cast probably a month after I did. He was coming with me most of the time and enjoying it. And I think he was getting swept up into the silliness. He also had a really serious problem with depression, and I think he found a great deal of release there. For a long time, that was the only time I could see him really behaving in a lighthearted way. And I think it's real helpful for a lot of people to assume another personality for just a couple of hours a week and just be somebody completely different from who you are, and sometimes bringing parts of your personality into the role you're playing. But it's nice to be somebody different once in a while.
I'm a